this meeting to order on September 26, 2017. And before we get started, I have the honor of introducing a few of our special guests here tonight. We actually have been hosting the first ever American UNESCO Creative Cities meeting. This is very exciting. We're happy to have you all. And I'm going to introduce some of the delegates that are here today. And if you'll just stand, then we're going to recognize you for being here. But before I do that, I want to make sure that I point out some of these very special gifts that are in front of me. And so a lot of the delegates that are here from our neighboring and friendly countries have brought gifts for the city. We didn't get to bring the beautiful pots from Ichion because they're pretty heavy, and I'm afraid I'm going to break them. So I'm going to make sure I protect them. But we have Councilwoman Leticia here from San Cristobal. You want to stand for us? Thank you. Welcome, welcome. We also have Mayor Cho here from Ichion, Korea. Welcome, Mayor. We have Councilman Ives from Santa Fe. Welcome. And we also have Roberta, who is from the mayor's office in Fabriano, Italy. And in addition to that, we have representatives from the art school in Hangzhou in the audience, I'm pretty certain. Welcome. And then also Maurizio Carta is here as our urbanist expert. We're happy to have you all. If you guys don't mind giving them a round of applause for joining us here. Myself and the council here and the commission and our staff are all so thankful that you decided to come visit us here in Paducah, and we're honored to host you tonight downstairs at a dinner after this. So if you'll stick around after our meeting, we'll take a photo together if that's fine with everyone. But we're going to move on into business this afternoon or evening. And City Clerk, would you mind the roll call?
Commissioner Abraham.
Present.
Commissioner Holland.
Here.
Commissioner Rhodes.
Here.
Commissioner Wilson.
Present.
Mayor Harless.
Here and present. Commissioner Holland, do you mind leading us in the invocation? If you'll stand, please.
Thank you for the gift of life, the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Give us a spirit of service. Help us see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us and to treat all persons with the reverence they deserve. We seek a sense of welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, and the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. Amen.
Thank you. If you'll stay standing, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. You may be seated. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are none, Mayor Harless.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have moved on to the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent agenda and considered separately. Does anyone have anything they'd like to remove from our consent agenda tonight? No? Okay, with that, I'll ask the city clerk to read the items recommended for approval.
Okay, consent agenda for September 26th. Minutes for the September 12th, 2017 City Commission meeting. Receive and file documents, personnel actions, and the following municipal orders. Authorize the application for a 2017 Transportation Alternatives Program TAP grant in the amount of $80,000 through the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for a planning and design project to create bicycle lanes within the city limits of Paducah, except real property located at 1111 South 3rd Street to the City of Paducah for $1. Authorize payment to Sunny Communications for reconditioned radios and accessories for the Paducah Fire Department. Authorize a contract with the Luther F. Carson Four Rivers Center for specific services. Authorize a contract with Barkley Regional Airport for providing general aviation and air carrier services. A contract for services with the Greater Paducah Economic Development Council for specific services that will include services for Entree Paducah. Authorize a contract with Paducah Junior College for the Community Scholarship Program. Authorize a contract with Paducah Junior College for 2 locations of the Paducah School of Art. Authorize a contract with Paducah Area Transit System for public transportation services. Accept the bid of Paducah Ford for sale to the city of 10 police pursuit-rated SUVs for use by the Paducah Police Department. Accept the bid of James Sanders Nursery for sale to the city of 4 ZTR mowers for use by Paducah Parks Department Grounds Maintenance Division. Accept the bid of McBride Mack for sale to the city of 1 sidearm loading refuse truck for use by the Paducah Engineering Department Solid Waste Division. And accept the bid of McBride Mack for sale to the city of 1 front loading refuse truck for use by the Paducah Engineering Public Works Department Solid Waste Division. That's all the items on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. Okay, before I move on, I just spotted my friends from Al-Hassa, Saudi Arabia, in the room. So Mayor Adel, would you mind standing up? Welcome to our meeting. Thank you very much for being here. And the delegation from Al-Hassa, thank you all. And I actually have these delicious dates that I'm going to share with my commission after the meeting, so get ready because they look delicious. Thank you for the gift and for this gift. Okay, moving on. I brought your napkins too. Moving on, Commissioner Abraham, you have a motion?
I do, Madam Mayor. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending Chapter 6, Section 6.2, 6.3, 6.4, 6.5, 6.32, 6.33, 6.34, and 6.40, and repealing Section 6-7 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paducah, Kentucky. This ordinance is summarized as follows. This ordinance amends Chapter 6 of the City of Paducah Code of Ordinance to conform with recent amendments to KRS Chapter 241 through 244, enacted pursuant to the passage of House Bill 100, House Bill 183, and House Bill 319 during the 2017 regular session of the Kentucky General Assembly. This ordinance also amends Chapter 6 of the Paducah Code of Ordinances to permit the sale of alcohol beverages on Sunday for all licensed types during the same hours such sales are permitted Monday through Saturday.
Second.
Great, and I think we have some discussion about this tonight. Do we want to have discussion among ourselves, or do you guys want to hear from the public comments first? Anyone have any
Public
preference?
first.
Let's do the public first. yeah.
Okay, all right, great. Robert Hill. Welcome up here, sir.
I'm the owner of B&G Liquor on 3821 Hinckleville Road. And this ordinance was never discussed with any packaged liquor stores here in this town before it's up for a vote today, which I find amazing in the fact that there are 21 liquor stores in Paducah, and we have a signed agreement from 15 of them, they do not want to be open on Sunday. And I'm just wondering, why was there not least a discussion about this ordinance being changed? Because most of these liquor stores feel just like I do, there'll be no additional revenue. It'll be diluted from Saturday, and there's not any real economic windfall to be made here. That's why you have 15 out of 21 liquor stores that are against it. It requires more personnel. It won't be productive. The average person they've got their alcohol, they got it on the Saturday, and they're either at the lake or they're doing whatever they're gonna do, watching football. They're not out shopping for liquor. But what gets me is how could there be no discussion on this when 15 out of 21 liquor stores are opposed? And, I don't understand that.
Thank you.
Can we
Thank you.
respond?
Sure.
Well, my first question is, I don't understand why you're talking about it as if you're legally required to be open. You can still stay closed on Sunday, right?
Well, everybody knows, you know, if you want to ignore the competition, it'll bury you eventually, you know. It's just, it's what people do, you know. They compete in business. They have to. And, you know, it's not, I just don't see, I don't see a win. I don't see who's going to be the winner here. I mean, I'm sure that we've talked to several of the religious facilities here who, as I don't even have to tell you, they're against it. So, and if the liquor stores are against it, well,
What's the point?
what's the point?
Well, I mean, I can speak for myself. What happened was we were having businesses come one by one and ask for exceptions to the liquor sales on Sunday. And we were creating exceptions per business. Oh, first, well, the breweries want to be open on Sunday. And then this other group wants to be open on Sundays. And we looked at surrounding counties, and there were just Sunday sales across the board. And so we thought me personally, the reason I thought, well, let's just make this consistent. Let's follow the sort of the new trend in the policy, which is just sales 7 days a week. I think the Sunday sales is sort of a vestige of another time, and make it consistent and open up the market and let the government get out of the way regulatory wise for a law that nobody really sort of understands anymore.
You know, I own a convenience store and a liquor store. My convenience store sells beer. The only request that I ever get on Sunday, usually, is somebody that maybe ran out of beer or something, and it's very few, or people passing through, and you've already passed the ordinance where they can go get a drink, because that's the number one question. Hey, where can we get a drink in Paducah? Okay, that's been solved. But my point is, we could make it, if you wanted to sell beer on Sundays in convenience stores, that's another thing that I don't think anybody's opposed to. The convenience store is open anyway. So if you want to go get a case of beer or something like that, but to be selling hard liquor, I just don't see an advantage for anybody. When 15 out of 21 don't want it, and there's no real advantage, no real reason, you know, I question that. And if somebody had called me to sit in on a little group to brainstorm this, I would have been happy to, you know, to maybe talk it over. So that's my point of view. So
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for
All right.
being here. Appreciate you.
Mayor,
Yes. I have another one, just so you know. I have another public comment, but you can go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, I'll wait.
Do another, okay,
Yeah, I'll
all
wait.
right.
Oh.
Eddie Singh?
Hello, everyone. I'm pretty much going to correlate with what Bob had to say. And, you know, my questions to the city commissioners and the mayor is, you know, if we adopt this ordinance, you know, first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Eddie Singh. I'm with Star Liquors. I have 4 locations in the city of Paducah. And the question is, you know, the first thing that what Bob had mentioned is that we will incur extra expenses. But my question is, what's the city generating, you know, versus making on a level platform with everybody else? But actually, the city is going to be losing revenue because all the restaurants that right now pay for a Sunday by the drink license, they won't be paying that no more. You know, so actually the city is going to be losing revenue on that.
No.
And then the other thing was, you know, on the last meeting, on the first hearing, you know, you guys had hired an attorney to go over all these changes. And was it even cost efficient and viable to even spend? And I would like to have that disclosed, how much attorney fees were involved with that the city had to pay to have all these ordinances changed? And was it even viable to have those changes made?
Well, just on that note, just so you know, we had to hire the attorney anyway because the state statute was changing in
Yeah.
addition to this. So it was kind of an efficiency. Hey, while we're looking at the entire statute and the ordinances we change, we have to hire attorney
Sure.
for. We might as well go ahead and move forward with changing some of these things.
but
So
then-
it was an efficiency thing that we made a
But,
decision
but
on.
the city wasn't obligated to hire an attorney change all the ordinances at the same time, was it?
Well, we're never we're never obligated. It's just really smart to hire an attorney to do these state statutory changes that were also made.
Okay.
And this ordinance has a lot in it, right?
Sure.
Part of it is the statute changes from the state that we're reflecting in our current ordinance, and then also the changes that we're talking about today.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, same thing, us as business owner feels like all of us, because I was the one that started this petition, and whoever I went to didn't had a clue that there was also a first reading that had already taken place in regards to this. And I see what Commissioner Holland has said, that, they had to come with alterations for people, that were wanting different statute changes to the ordinance. But most of those businesses, and I was here in proposed to when Purple Toad came in, they wanted to allow Sunday sales at their winery. And I agree, because that is there, But the thing is, most of the ordinance changes are required by people that are by the drink business. They were not by the package business. We as package store owners feel that it really doesn't increase our sales. You also need to keep in effect that with all these other counties that have got wet around us, all the store owners in the city of Paducah have lost almost 40% of their revenue, and there's no way we're going to ever get that back. And our expenses have stayed the same, our mortgages haven't changed, we just lost our revenue. And the only people that are going to be benefiting versus us are going to be the pharmacies, which is CVS, because they're already open on Sunday. All they have to do is just open their 2 aisles up that they sell liquor in, or like the other big box stores. Nobody else, as small business owners, going to be, profiting from this thing. We all be at a loss.
So I have a question.
Uh-huh.
The counties you lost, that when they went to Sunday, when they opened up and you lost 40% of your business, those counties are open on package sales on Sundays though, right?
Yeah.
So it's not out, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you would gain back a little bit on Sundays if you're not open and they are.
But then the thing is, we need to make a statement for all those counties that we have our values, that what Sunday stands for. Sunday stands for family and church, okay? My temple is in St. Louis, okay? I have to drive 3 hours on Sunday, which I'm not that religious person that I go there every week. But at least once a month, I make it a point to drive there to my temple every month, And by doing this, there's another liability issue that I have to stay in town. Maybe somebody that day I had to go, and, it's hard to find, first of all, it's hard to find people to work in Paducah. We all know that. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. You can go around any restaurant in town, you can go around any store in town, everybody's hiring. So there's a big manpower issue right now, and, tapping this on top of us just makes our life more miserable. That's all I had to say.
Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Commissioner Abraham, do you still want to make a comment or question?
Yeah, real quick. Being in business is challenging. I think anyone that started a business knows that. This ordinance, and I've talked to Mr. Singh back and forth yesterday afternoon quite a bit, and the ordinance, again, does not mandate any business owners to do A, B, C, or D. It's totally up to you if you want to participate. I keep hearing the word about competition. For me, that's not a bad word. My background is in sports, so I gotta step my game up if I choose to. If I don't, then pretty much I'm gonna suffer those consequences. But I have the ability, I have the obligation, opportunity, if you will, to change if I choose to change. If the ordinance is there and I choose not to open on Sunday because of my own beliefs or whatever, I understand that. But if the guy across the street takes advantage of an opportunity, I'm not really upset with him because I have an opportunity to do something likewise. So I guess my comment and my statement is this. We live in a society where if you want to compete, you are allowed to compete. If you choose not to, that's okay.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I would say something.
Okay, please.
Well, for the last several days, being a lifelong business person, I've had many of my friends and associates who have questioned my business beliefs. I think they think that I'm against free markets and capitalism, and I've been accused of being moralistic in my leanings. But I like to say a few kind words about the mom and pop liquor stores of Paducah, Kentucky. And just getting right down to it, for decades, and I hate to sound like an old codger, but the rules were you work 6 days a week. And maybe you work your butt off for 6 days a week. And on the seventh day, you can watch TV, NBA, whatever, or you rest or whatever you want to do. And so people have organized their business in such a way. And all of a sudden, as a commission, we're getting ready to ignore the wishes of 15 small business owners, and I guess to help 6 business owners, some of which are not very small. Eddie's mentioned those, like CVS, Sam's Club, to upend decades-long tradition. Now look, when at Center Coffee House started, we realized that the expectation was going to be open 7 days a week. The expectation was not 6 days a week. So the ground rules were set. Everybody knew it. It would be a little different in the case of liquor stores because the expectation has always been 6 days a week. So the problem as I see it is that it's not about competition. I mean, that's not the issue. The issue is that if Paducah were a fast-growing megalopolis, think, how about Nashville, Tennessee? Yeah, maybe we need to have liquor sold 7 days a week, but we're not. So what's going to happen is you're going to have the same amount of liquor sold in 7 days that you would have sold in 6 days, except for many of these guys and gals, these mom and pops, they're going to have an extra day of expenses. Yeah, the mortgage goes on, but the extra help, increased heat, light, and power, that goes on to sell no more liquor. It happened when I was in the car business for 26 years. You always have somebody come into town and want to show us how to sell cars, so they're going to be open on Sundays or they're going to be open at nights or all summer long. And after, they realized quickly that they weren't going to sell any more cars by being open that extra day. So the competition will force these folks to have to open when they don't want to and when their plan was for decades that they didn't have to. And I don't see how we as a commission just say, well, I know there are 15 of you that don't want it and there are 6 that I guess that do, well, we're going to go with the 6. I just think that's insulting. Thank you.
Can I just,
Please.
not more than a few months ago, we had a chamber full of residents that came here and said, please do not change our R1 to an R4. Mm-hmm. These are older adults, bought their property with an expectation. Mm-hmm. We changed the rules. And we decided, hang on a second, wait, I got the floor at this point.
Okay.
We chose to do what we did. We changed it to an R4. Right? Now, explain to me how that's different.
Okay, I will. The difference is that we have 23 liquor stores, of which 15 have said, we don't want to be open. There was no way to check the entire community. That was a community-wide about the R4 zoning of Pecan Lane. That affected everybody in the community.
That was a section of Paducah. It wasn't citywide.
I looked at it as a citywide because of
Well, see,
economics.
there you go. We're looking at this different.
Okay.
And I think that's the point too that I want to. I'm sorry. Do you want to keep going?
No, I'm done.
I've told
I've said my
Alan this
piece.
too. Yeah, we've had this conversation.
And I've got
It
it.
really is the question of what goal are we framing this around? So Alan is framing it around the goal of supporting small business or not supporting small business. I am framing this around getting out of the way. And so when you frame it differently, you come to different conclusions. And I think that's what's happened here is we kind of started on this path, I thought, with the intention of getting out of the way. But I think that, and Alan's brought up some great points, and I definitely want to say, and I know this sounds a little contrary right now, but I definitely have the mom and pops in mind. But the reality is that change is hard. We saw that in Pecan Drive. Change is tough. And to base this on tradition, I'm sorry, I ran for this seat so that I could help be a force of change in the city. And I think that my driver is not only just getting out of the way and making it simple to understand our fairly complicated ABC rules in the state of Kentucky, but to also ask ourselves, what experience are we providing our citizens? Now, that doesn't mean that I look forward to people going out and buying tons of liquor on Sunday. That's not my intention here. The intention is, what experience are we providing our residents? What are the options that we're providing our residents? And so when I come to this question with that in mind, I tend to be in support of doing this all in one sweep.
Can I say
Yes,
something?
please.
Well, I have a couple things. One, I hear your concerns. I understand. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say I understand because I don't run a business 7 days. I work from home and I have a lot of flexibility, so I'm not going to look you in the face and tell you guys that I understand what it's like and that what's the big deal, be open on Sunday, because I don't, and I don't want to pretend that I do. But I do want to say that I hear you, and to my best abilities, I do understand your concerns. So here's where I'm coming from. What makes the best policy? And for better or for worse, we have decided that while we all individually make choices about our Sundays, as a community, we are going to allow alcohol on Sundays.
We haven't decided that yet.
But we have already opened up alcohol in many
Oh,
places
yes,
on
of course.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So we can't create an exception for values for certain sellers and not for others. That would be inconsistent. You see where I'm coming from? Like, we can't say, well, we support the Sundays of some people who sell liquor, but the other people, they can serve on Sundays, and we don't support values when they're selling it. So I think if we're going to say that's not a driving force is the values of protecting Sunday, which I think we've already opened that floodgate, then we're going to have to, we can't create exceptions for certain people because their Sundays are no more or less valuable than anybody else's. And so when I think that our goal, like Brandy said, was to streamline, Mayor Harless, was to streamline the regulations and to get out of the way. Now, again, I understand what the expectation was when small liquor stores were starting maybe 20 years ago. But I think right now, if we look at the changes that are coming in the surrounding county, the expectation is no longer 6 days a week. And that maybe the market is wrong. Maybe if you guys you guys have been operating a long time, and maybe you're right. Maybe you're right that there is no extra money to be made on Sunday. That is definitely a possibility, but that is the market's job to decide and not ours. I don't think that's our role. I don't think that's a good role for the city commission, is to protect certain markets and expose others. I'm not an economist. I don't think anybody else up here is. And while, I hear your opinions and they're very important, I mean, we don't just do everything on an up and down vote, or else you guys could just plug everything into a computer and you wouldn't need us sitting up here at all. So I think that, when our goal is to streamline the regulation, get out of the way, we've already opened up Sunday sales. So to create exceptions, that would be hard to explain 20 years from now when you guys aren't here telling us the reasons, would be like, why do you have an exception for package stores? And 20 years, they might not even know why we have the exception. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to cast or to form policy that is consistent and that makes sense 20 years from now, not just with the people in front of us right now. That's what I said.
I just have one comment. There are very successful business models in this country and in this community who have competition and have chosen not to be open on Sunday. So I know this is not a mandate to be open on Sunday. It's strictly the opportunity is there if someone wants to be open, but you do not have to be. Those companies, small businesses and larger, are very successful and not open on Sunday.
Anyone else? Siri's talking to us also. Are you guys ready to vote?
I have an amendment.
Sure.
I propose an amendment to not allow package sales for malt beverage, distilled spirits, and wine on Sunday.
I'll second.
Okay.
So Commissioner Rhodes is offering an amendment that we'll vote on. And everyone understand what we're voting on. He wants to pull out package sales
Nothing
on
else
Sunday from
changes.
the ordinance. Nothing else changes. Okay? All right, roll call.
Commissioner Abraham?
Excuse me a second.
This is an amendment to the ordinance. So we're voting on Commissioner Rhodes' amendment that he just proposed.
Right,
which
so who
takes-
seconded?
I did.
You did?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so he does not want to allow any package sales on Sundays for distilled spirits, wine, or malt beverages.
So a yes vote is for his amendment, a no vote is against his amendment.
Correct.
Yes.
No.
No.
Commissioner Holland?
Nay.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
No.
Mayor Harless?
No.
Okay.
I have another
Okay.
amendment. You don't like that one? I've got one more, and then I'll have done all I can do.
Okay.
All right, I propose amendment to not allow package sales of just distilled spirits and wine on Sunday. Beer would be okay to be sold.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you.
Roll call.
Just 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
Sorry. I saw you doing that.
Okay, so we understand what the amendment is. Okay, Commissioner Abraham?
No.
Commissioner Holland?
Nay.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
No.
Mayor Harless?
No. Motion does not carry.
Correct.
So we will return to the original motion on the floor.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Roll call, please.
so Commissioner Abraham?
Yes.
Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Rhodes?
No.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Mayor Harless?
Yes. Motion carries. That was our first dissent of my commission. Thank you.
No.
I get used to
It
it.
wasn't.
Oh, was it?
No.
Oh. Oh, that's right. We had a dissent for
In a
the
second.
zoning.
So the
Healthy
min-
You
dissent.
just don't have to point at me.
It just shows, Richard, the men have dissented, so it's up
You
to
are.
the
That's
women.
good. That's okay. I like it. Dissenting is very
It'll come.
important. Very important in government.
It'll come.
Okay, moving forward. Commissioner Holland, you have a motion?
Oh, yes. Oh, man. Okay. How am I supposed to read this? I'll do it. I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Fixing the Levies and Rates of Taxation on All Property in the City of Paducah, Kentucky, subject to taxation for municipal purposes and for school purposes for the period from July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018, with the purposes of said taxes hereunder defined. General fund of the city, real property, 0.255 cents, personal property, 0.39 cents, motor vehicles and watercraft, 0.39 cents, school purposes, Paducah Junior College, real estate, 0.016 cents, personal property, 0.016 cents, motor vehicles and watercraft, 0.031 cents. The city of Paducah shall collect the following taxes for the Board of Education: Paducah Independent School District, real property, 0.797 cents, personal property, 0.797 cents, inventory, 0.797 cents. Total tax rate per $100 real property, $1.068 cents. Total tax rate per $100 personal property, $1.2003 cents. Total tax rate per $100 inventory, 0.797 cents. Total tax rate per $100 motor vehicle and watercraft, 0.421 cents. Property taxes levied herein shall be due and payable in the following manner. In the case of tax bills which reflect an amount due of less than $700, the payment shall be due on November 1st, 2017, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until November 30th, 2017. In the case of all other tax bills, payment shall be in accordance with the following provisions. The first half payment shall be due on November 1st, 2017, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until November 30th, 2017. The second half payment shall be due on February 1st, 2018, and shall be payable without penalty and interest until February 28th, 2018.
Second.
Discussion? Anyone? No? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham?
Aye.
Commissioner Holland?
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson?
Aye.
Mayor Harless?
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes.
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Extending the Boundary of the City of Paducah, Kentucky by intent to annex certain properties lying adjacent to the corporate limits of the City of Paducah and defining accurately the boundary of said properties to be included within the said corporate limits." This ordinance is summarized as follows: approving an intent to annex certain tracts of property contiguous to the present city limits located at 2909 Lone Oak Road and 2835 Maryland Street, containing 0.9 acres, more or less.
Second.
Great. Tamara, our city planner, would you like to come up and mention anything about this at all? She said, maybe not. It can be brief, that's okay.
I will be brief. In fact, I'll probably end before I even get to the podium. This is an annexation that expands a very recently approved annexation, and this will allow a bigger shopping center to occupy the property. You will note that the right-of-way is not included, the street, because it's not built to our standards, so we are not including that with the annexation. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Briefly, I want to recognize and commend all folks, the city workers and the community for all of the preparations that have gone into festival season, as I like to call it, since we have a lot of consecutive weekends, including the quilt show a couple weeks ago, Dragon Boat last weekend. We have UNESCO going on now and Barbecue on the River next week. And speaking of Barbecue on the River, it's this week, that's right. I'm thinking of the weekend again. It's a big undertaking, and the city is a big participant in that. We contribute services and manpower in excess of $100,000 in-kind value per year. So I'd like Rick Murphy, our Public Works Director, to briefly come forward and just give a couple comments on the preparations and sort of the state, the preparedness for that important festival that's soon to be underway.
Mayor, Commission, I'm pleased to be in front of you this evening to report to you that your staff is still hanging in there. It's almost like we're having company every weekend, and we're trying to prepare our house to make sure everybody has a pleasant visit. But barbecue is unique as quilters, the April quilt session, because we have a lot of visitors that are confined in a small area, and as things come up and they're reported to our office, we get right on them and we make those corrections as quickly as possible. For example, we had a little restroom issue that's been resolved. There'll be more issues to come up, and we'll resolve them as quickly as possible. But when you get a chance to say thank you to some of your park staff, or your park staff, your public works staff, and your emergency preparedness staff as well, because it takes all of us to pull this off successfully. Our solid waste crews are there continuously, because those waste containers are getting full and they need to be pulled out, because the smell of barbecue is in the air everywhere. So, but anyway, thank you for that. But we are prepared, and I think next week we'll be taking down the dome. So it just goes from one thing to another. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. That's all I have.
Okay, great. Well, for our guests, Barbecue on the River is a really large festival here, and you're going to get to experience it tomorrow night at Pork Stock, and you will see how big of a deal it is to us. I think our attendance is somewhere in the 30,000, 40,000 range at Barbecue, so it's a lot of people. We double our population in 4 days, so it's a big deal. All right, moving forward, comments from the commissioners. Anyone have anything they'd like to say?
Yeah, I have a couple.
I've spoken
You
enough.
spoke.
I have
Yeah.
a couple real quick.
Sure.
This is, I promise, real quick. A couple of weeks ago, we had folks in the chamber voicing their opinion on the issue with the monument. What should we do with it? And everybody was very passionate about how they felt one way or the other. The meeting was very, very cordial. I think that was a testament to the folks in the room. I think it was reasonable to assume that folks leaving was expecting us at some point to make a decision on one way or the other what happens to the statute. So I think at some point, sooner than later, in my opinion, that we should issue some statement stating something. I think that's fair. A couple of things specifically. Some of the conversation was that the objection from some people was that the monument was in a city park, which means their tax dollars are paying for the upkeep of that park. And so I'm like, okay. So I went and I looked to see if any public funds, expenditures, if you will, had been used to upkeep the statue, which didn't find any. Whether the statue was in the park or not, that park would be maintained because it's a city park. However, though, in looking at that, looking for that, I did run across something that was, most folks don't know. I personally don't have a problem with what I'm getting ready to say, but some folks might. The property that the McCracken County NAACP owns where the Martin Luther King Monument is, that is private property, and the city maintains that. And again, let me say, I don't particularly have a problem with that, but some folks might. So to be totally transparent, what would that look like from 2000 to present? That's about $37,000, just so everybody will know. I feel that folks may have an issue with that. Last thing, you kind of put it out there, Mayor, right before the commission meeting was adjourned. What does racism look like in 2017, right? So I kind of took that to heart, and I did some research a little bit. All the major news outlets, those that I watch and those that I don't watch, those that I agree with, those that I don't, and conversations with constituents. And this is the raw truth of it as I interpreted what I found. I have friends that are African American and they think a little differently, and they feel that statute should stay where it is. I'm doing the best that I can do. I'm not playing a race card. I'm being aggressive. I'm doing what I have to do. So, Commissioner, go for it. I'm with you. However, I'm not going to say that publicly because I don't want to get roasted on Facebook like you are, which is fine. I have friends that are Caucasian that say, hey, I'm with you, man, but I'm not saying that out loud. Why is that? Because I'd be labeled a racist if I said that. I'm like, okay, all right. So as I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the media outlets, I'm reading the newspaper, I'm looking at all these different stories. So it seems to me now, in 2017, if you are a Caucasian person, man or woman, that disagree with the conversation, whatever that conversation is coming from someone of color, you could very easily be labeled a racist just because you have a different point of view. If you are African American and you disagree with the conversation that's going on, and the majority of the people that's having that conversation agree that looks like you, if you disagree, then you're labeled some unconscionable words that I'm not gonna mention here because we have company. And so you're like, okay, so what does it look like? What does racism look like? That's what it looks like to me. So how do you have a conversation, honestly, when you have that type of environment? And we have a lot of different groups coming to the table trying to get folks to open up. And folks are like, I can't do it. So that's a challenge, not only for us in Paducah, but that's a challenge nationwide. Folks want to speak frankly, but they get ridiculed, they get blasted. So I'll just keep my thoughts to myself, and those of you who are elected, speak, please. That's all I have.
Well, I'll say, just in response, since we're talking
fine.
about the question,
No.
we talked about having this conversation
Right.
one-on-one also, and I'd love to do that. Just two quick things before we move on to public comments. I know we have some people here. One is a lot of times the terminology used in the structural parts of racism we talk about is actually the term racial disparity. And that's a form of racism. Now, like I said before, it doesn't look like the 50s and 60s version where it's obvious. Or where you're calling people names or whatever that may be. It is built into our structural system. And it's harder to talk about that. There is no doubt about that. I agree with you. I don't agree that it means we shouldn't try. And I think we have to have compassionate conversations because of that. And we have to come to the table without our own biases and understanding what our own biases are. I'll give you the example. My second thing was the Race Unity Group. They are doing it. The Race Unity Group in our community are having these hard conversations. There have been so many aha come to Jesus moments. I mean, in that group, because they've created a safe place to do this. It's not on camera. It's not in a city commission meeting.
It's not on
where
Facebook.
It's not on Facebook. It is in no one Facebooks from there. Seriously, it is like, go in the room, know you're safe, and let's just talk and be honest about it. And so that's where my question came from, honestly, was that understanding. And so I hope we keep talking about it. I'm glad you brought it up tonight, and I hope we keep talking about it. Yeah.
Can I add to what you just said? I just think it's really important, again, to just not make it about individuals. I feel like you're calling me a racist. I feel like you don't, there's a lot of like individual labels, not that individual conversations aren't important, individual ideas, individual attitudes, individual labels, and racism is a system of oppression. So it's much bigger than how individuals feel or what names individuals call each other. And so I think it has to be, while I think the individual conversations are essential, and I don't think anything is solved by name calling, I do think that the conversation is going to have to expand a little bit to talk about the systems of oppression and not just yelling at each other and saying, you're racist, no you're not, yes I am not. I mean, I don't think that's productive either. I also don't think that is the beginning and end of what racism is.
There. Anyone else? No? Okay, we have 2 people from the public that would like to make statements tonight. I'm going to call up Michael Swinford from Calvert City first.
Madam Mayor, City Commissioners, it's my honor to be here this evening. Pardon my voice, I've been yelling at my dog all day and I can't hardly talk. The Veterans Day Parade has been painted over with 12 coats of transparent paint. And anyone knows if you put 12 coats of transparent paint on something, after a while the edges begin to blur. So I brought a few questions that I'd like to get an answer to because I'm sort of not sure of it. I've spoken to a lot of veteran groups in the last month, and I've still got some I've got to speak to. I have a question for the mayor and the commissioners. Who does the Veterans Day Parade belong to?
We'll have to have Jeff. Belongs to. How would you answer that?
Well, it belongs to the public. The permit is applied for and issued in the name of the City of Paducah. Excuse me?
I can't hear what you're saying.
We'll go through all this, just respond to each one of these right here, right now, tonight.
Oh.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
he's asking questions.
Yeah.
He's saying, are we going to go through all these tonight? And I think we will. So yes, it belongs to the public, obviously, and the city gives the permit and holds the permit for the parade to be held. Is that accurate? Yeah.
So it does not belong to the veterans?
I mean, that's a.
I would say it's there to
Certainly
honor the
wasn't
veterans.
excluding the
It
veterans
definitely
from that.
doesn't exclude the other, and I know that Albert Jones was the founder of our local Veterans Day Parade, and his intention was to honor the veterans for sure.
Okay, why was anyone singled out for the exclusion from the parade? Is it because of personal discrimination of their heritage?
It's a philosophical question.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I thought we
no.
identified who
No,
could
no one,
participate.
the regulation before the committee and before the commission did not say, it was not written
nor was the intention to exclude people based on their heritage. It was to clarify the inclusion of veterans groups, United States military veterans groups, and a United States military veteran parade.
So you weren't anticipating exclusion of any group?
I mean, were we anticipating the exclusion of any group? That's a tough question. I mean, I think that clarification always comes with, I mean, I guess you would need to ask I don't know a good answer to that question, honestly. I can tell
I don't
you
either.
personally, it was
I
not
thought it was to
mine.
identify who qualified.
Yeah, I mean, just like we were having a conversation earlier about being clear about our expectations and our standards, I think that was the
And yeah-
intention, was to
Yeah,
be
and I'll
clear
let-
about the expectations.
Because I think that what's being missed is that I think there was the possibility that there could be other outside groups participating in the Veterans Day Parade without that clarification. Not just people that had already participated, but people that could come later and request to be included.
Could you give me
in
an example of that?
I mean, you could have any other political group that considers
Black Lives
themselves
Matter,
military.
maybe? Antifa? But
Yep.
if they carry the American flag, they can be in the parade.
Well, no, the parade committee ruling and our resolution clarified that they are United States military groups. That would not classify as a United States military group just because they flew the flag. It's not any group who flies the United States flag.
Well, it's the group
It's a
that's
military
honoring
group.
the veterans.
Right. It's a military group. United States military
So the
group.
Daughters of American Revolution are a military group,
Well, I mean, if they're a United States veterans group, then yes.
they're not veterans.
Daughters of the American Revolution.
I don't think that it was specifically to military groups. I think that might be
Oh, it was. It was
Right,
just,
because
it was
then the
just
question-
inclusion the flag.
it was, yeah, it was, what are you marching in honor of, and, yeah.
Thank you. Are you aware that according to federal statute, you are guilty of ignoring the tenets of the First Amendment? I'm sorry if I gave you a headache.
It's
No.
just, I think that this I understand the purpose of your cross-examination.
It's not a cross-examination, ma'am, it's just questions.
Well, that's what a
I'm
cross-examination
not
is.
trying to do that.
No. I mean, I
I just
understand
wanna-
where you're going. I do. I do.
How do you feel about the First Amendment?
I don't
Is
I'm
it legitimate?
supportive of the First Amendment.
Well, good.
Absolutely supportive of the First Amendment.
But the tenets of the First Amendment, you're ignoring by the restriction on the flags in the parade.
Well, I think that's open to interpretation.
Indeed it is. Are you aware you violated the First Amendment right of hundreds of military veterans due to the flag restriction?
I'll tell you, Michael, I just want to mention this. This was something, we did not take this lightly. I know that you probably think we did because it seemed like it came and went so fast. But we did talk to our city attorney. We've had this conversation a lot. I have, at least, and I think some of these commissioners have as well, because we were
But
very thoughtful
Did you
about
talk to
that.
us, Mayor? Did you talk to us? We're the ones that paid the price. We needed an input. We didn't get an input. We got what you wanted us to have.
Michael, you are a veteran of wars that we honor in the Veterans Day Parade, and we thank you immensely for your service. There is no doubt about that.
I
No doubt that
appreciate
any of us would ever not be thankful for the service that you paid.
But I have a flag at home, and it's a go-to-hell flag. Not proper, not according to society's laws, there's probably something wrong with it. When we carried in the parade, Vietnam veterans, their lower back stiffens up, their chest goes out, their legs stand a little straighter. Their old crippled hands put up there, make a salute. But it's not proper, and I can't carry it in the parade anymore because your silly rules.
Michael, can I address that?
Sure.
So I think when you talk about rights to be in the parade, right to express yourself, the concern with rights is that your rights and other people's rights sometimes bump up against each other. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so there's always sort of a balance and a give and take between your right to expression. And so I will tell you, for myself, I think that there is a balance and a compromise to be found in which you can still participate in the parade, but a black service member doesn't have to bow their back under a symbol that they find oppressive, because both of you served and both of your service is very important. And we want to find space to honor all veterans. And I heard from a lot of veterans who do not want to see certain symbols in the Veterans Day Parade. So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to say, no, your rights are more important? Am I supposed to say their rights are more important? See, we have that conflict between veterans, not citizens, not between two different sets of veterans. One set of living veterans who say, I feel like I'm not welcome in the parade, and one set of veterans who say, I feel like I'm not welcome in the parade. And we want to serve all living members of the military.
I understand that, but all black brothers are our brothers and sisters. We see no difference. We don't see them as black or white. We see them as a veteran.
But you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I do.
That some people you no longer feel comfortable in the parade. We have another group that doesn't feel comfortable in another. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, we have veterans disagreeing with each other about the parade.
You'd be surprised what they talk about. Let me assure you. This same flag I spoke of, I've been told by your director of Parks and Recreation that if I try to carry that flag, I'm going to be arrested. Is that the commission's position on that?
I don't have
That is my
firsthand
position.
knowledge of
I do,
that
and it was
statement.
Mr. Mark Thompson, Parks and Recreation Director, told me exactly if I try to carry that flag in the parade, I will be arrested for exercising my First Amendment
Okay.
privilege.
I don't think arresting is the.
I
We've asked you not.
don't guess
Sorry?
that would happen. I
Asking
think
not
the
to
point
fly
of that
during the
was to
parade.
clarify whether or not
Gonna be
a
like-
certain symbol would be allowed at the parade or
Yeah,
not.
I don't support you being
Being
arrested
arrested.
for doing that. I
Absolutely
support
not.
you not being able to march with that flag in the parade,
Well,
which
it
would
wa-
mean that you would be removed in some way. I mean, the only reason for anyone to be arrested is if there is any kind of tension or violence that
Public
is starting
safety.
the issue. So if you don't do that, then I don't see why
Well,
that would be the result.
You should inform him not to be talking like that then.
We will. Thank you. Do you have more questions, sir?
Just one real quick.
Okay,
I'm gonna pass on it.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right, one more. Stephen Hardin from Paducah? Wait, are you related to that Harned?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Does he owe you money?
Actually, yes.
What is the address?
Longview Drive, Paducah?
Longview Drive?
I'm not gonna give you his whole address on public. Welcome.
I'm Stephen Harned. Let me get my eyeballs on here. I'd like to thank the City Commission for listening to my views and concerns. Please bear with me. It may seem like I'm running around in circles, but I'll tie it all together at the end. I wanted to attend the last City Commission meeting on August 12th, but I had a family emergency come up. I had a statement ready to read, but I did get to view the city meeting twice on the city's government channel 11. There was a wide range of information and views from the public and commission expressed. A lot of the issues and information on General Lloyd Tillman's statue, different cultures, heritage, history, and racism were covered, so I'm regrouping on my thoughts and statements. The mayor and the city commission was right with the statement that Paducah is not Lexington, Louisville, or a large city. I think Paducah is better than Louisville and those other large cities for working out its problems and differences. So I'm going in a little different direction with my statement tonight. I'm going in a historical and a heritage direction. Commissioner Holland last week, or the other meeting, said that she was 8th generation Kentuckian. Good deal. I'm a 9th generation Kentuckian. My ancestor, Jonathan Harnett, came to Kentucky in 1778 with General George Rogers Clark as part of the Virginia militia
and moved his family here in 1779. Received land grants for participating in America's first war of independence. The issue of changing history was discussed, and Commissioner Holland said, yes, you can change history. Well, the way you change history is by destroying all images, written history, books of that period of past time, and using mass incorrect propaganda. If you change history, it's not history, it's fiction. Fiction is not history. A few weeks ago, the Parks Department Director, Mark Thompson, I was hoping he was here, made a statement on Channel 11, Paducah Government TV, and the local news. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, the gist was, he said, Paducah has a lot of great statues, monuments, and parks. We can always use more. I haven't seen any that's not great. End of his comments. Has that view of the Parks Department changed? At the last commission meeting, a lot of statements were made as facts, some true, some not. I get my information from the National Archives, the Adjutant General's Office of Official Records of the war between the states, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, and Georgia Historic Archives and Genealogy Society, and the U.S. Congress of Official Records. So these are factual and not fiction. They haven't been changed yet. When I was doing my family's genealogy research in the 1980s, I found that on my mother and father's side, I had, counting second and third greats, fathers and uncles, I had 22 Confederate veterans, none of which owned slaves. They fought for their freedom and defending their homes and families from an intruding and invading army, as my other ancestors did in the American Revolution. The pictures you see of homes, cities, properties destroyed, and the destruction and death are in Kentucky and the other southern states. I had two-time great-granduncles that died in a Yankee prison camp in Rock Island, Illinois in February 1864 from pneumonia and exposure. They froze to death. Private John J. Pace, Company D, 4th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, CSA, age 22. Private Joseph J. Pace, Company A, 4th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, CSA, age 19. They were buried in graves number 232 and 238, southwest corner of the prison camp cemetery. 2 of 3 brothers in one family. First Lieutenant Franklin Harnett, Company H, 6th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, CSA, a seasoned and wounded veteran from many campaigns, was at the Atlanta, Georgia campaign in July 22, 1864. During that battle, they had officers roll call in the evening so they could make preparations for the next day's battle. On the first day of roll call, it showed First Lieutenant Franklin Harnett, severely wounded, left on battlefield of Entrenchment Creek. Second day of battle, First Lieutenant Harnett, severely wounded, left on battlefield, possibly captured. Third day of the battle, roll call. First Lieutenant Franklin Harnett, mortally wounded, left on battlefield. This is July in Georgia. Heat, humidity, and sun. I've often wondered if he laid there for 3 days and nights before passing away, defending and fighting for his and others' beliefs. I've got one more family history, and then I'm closing my history. Captain William Lee Harnett, Franklin's brother, Company H, 6th Kentucky Mounted Infantry, CSA, was killed at Shiloh, Tennessee, at an area called the Hornet's Nest. It was called the Hornet's Nest because all the bullets and the shells passing by sounded like they were in a nest of hornets. There's a lot of monuments and markers at the Shiloh National Battlefield. There's one by a little area called Bloody Pond, where wounded Union and Confederate soldiers crawled to get a drink from a dirty, stagnant, bloody pool of water before dying. The Union soldiers are all buried in neat, manicured graves in the National Cemetery there. By Bloody Pond, there's a mass grave of over 200 Confederate unknown dead. And please, if you remember or take anything away from this statement, please let it be this. Imagine Bloody Pond and the mass grave. There's a small stone monument at the Confederate mass grave, and it is inscribed, "Hearken, all ye who pass by, we the veterans of the Confederate States of America call to you of every generation to keep alive our memory and heritage." End of quote. I say our past is the present and the future. We have to know and remember who we are. These are some of the reasons that we want and should preserve the past and history, such as General Lloyd Tillman's statue, his memory and history. By removing these images, we feel that it is an attack on and destroying our heritage. It is demeaning, defiling, and degrading of Americans who gave their lives doing what they thought was right. When the City Commission opened its meetings, we have the Pledge of Allegiance, and it ends with, "and justice for all." I hope there will be justice for all. And whatever the city does with its history here in Paducah and Western Kentucky, I say to all, it's my ancestors, my history, my heritage, and I'll do whatever it takes to protect and honor all my ancestors and heritage. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for being here.
Mayor, I know
with
we're
that-
trying to get her.
oh.
Can I clarify since my name was mentioned?
Sure, absolutely.
I meant to say we change our understanding of history, not change we can't change what happened, but we most certainly do shift in our understanding of the events. History books are written, yes, but history and our understanding of it is not something set in stone, as the case may be. And I was speaking specifically about our changing understanding of Thomas Jefferson and his relationship to one of his slaves. And so I do think that our understanding of history, the way the history stories are written, does shift and change, and that narrative shifts and changes. We learn more about those people and about the time, and I think that's a good thing.
Thank you. With that, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. You have to give me the thing. Sorry, Craig. We can talk afterwards, though. Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all so much. Motion.